Rwanda will tomorrow receive the Queen's Baton ahead of the Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth Games for three-day national relay. The Queen's Baton is expected to arrive at Kigali International Airport on Tuesday from Uganda, and it will spend 3 days in Rwanda before being handed over to Tanzania. The baton will be taken to the Kigali Genocide Memorial, Nyandungu Urban Wetland Ecotourism Park, Lycée de Kigali, Gahanga Cricket Stadium, among other places. The Queen's Baton relay is being taken to different destinations around the world as part of the Commonwealth Games traditions. Earlier today, my colleague Athan Tashobya sat for an interview with Omar Daair, the British High Commissioner to Rwanda, to expound more about the tradition of the Queen's Baton and what it means for Rwanda.
British High Commissioner to Rwanda, Omar Daair, many thanks for finding time to speak to RwandaTV.
Thank you.
The Queen's Baton is arriving in the country this very week for the so-called the Queen's Baton ready. If you could tell us how significant, what makes this baton such a special thing?
Well, the Queen's Baton Relay is a great tradition of the Commonwealth Games, which will be hosted in Birmingham next summer. And the baton symbolises the links between all the Commonwealth family. So it is travelling between all 72 countries and territories of the Commonwealth with a message inside from Her Majesty the Queen, which will be read out at the end of the relay. But it's a great reminder of all the things that connect the Commonwealth together, all our shared values of human rights, democracy, our love of sports. So I think it's something that really brings us all together.
Rwanda becomes the 10th country to host the Queen's Baton in this particular relay this year, but also Rwanda is expected to host the CHOGM. So how significant is this?
Yes, I think it makes it particularly special this year because next year when the Commonwealth Games are happening in July, we also expect that CHOGM will have already happened, hopefully by then. And I think the two events together really bind the UK and Rwanda in our commitment to the Commonwealth. So I think this year we want even more attention on the Queen's Baton here in Rwanda to show that we're building up to the Commonwealth Games, but we're also building up to CHOGM.
How significant is the Commonwealth Games to the Rwandan athletes, but also in terms of Rwanda-UK bilateral relations?
Well, I'm really excited about seeing Rwandan athletes taking part in the Commonwealth Games next year, and that's both able-bodied athletes and also the disabled athletes. Because unlike the Olympics, which has two separate programs, the Commonwealth Games really integrates able-bodied and disabled events and competitors. So it's a really great way to promote inclusion and to show the way that we're all able to compete together. And so I think that makes it even more important this year. And I'm sure we'll see some good success from Rwandan athletes at the Commonwealth Games.
I know when it comes into the country, it makes rounds across different destinations in the country. If you could tell us some of the destinations and why those destinations were, selected.
Yes, I mean, one of the nice things about the Baton Relay is it also is an opportunity to show off the beauty of the country, of which there's a lot in Rwanda. It's going to several places. It's going to some schools. It's going to the cricket ground. It will be coming here to my residence. But the place that I'm most excited that it's going to is the Nyandungu Wetlands, which is just a new development here in Rwanda, which shows the importance of protecting our natural environment and climate. And so I think it's a great time with the COP summit happening in Glasgow at the same time to bring together sporting objectives and nature-based objectives too, to show how much we're doing in Rwanda on this.
You mentioned that it's also going to be highlighting, the Queen's Baton is going to be highlighting the climate conference that is also happening, but also what Rwanda is doing together with the UK. Recently, I think last week, Rwanda was selected among the 5 pioneer countries to benefit in the $100 US, fund. If you could tell us more about that and what it means to Rwanda's climate resilience
Yes, I think it's a really
strategy.
important.
Yes, I think it's a really important fund actually. What it's looking at is how do we bring finance for climate work and for environmental programs in a more innovative way, and how do we make it easier for countries to access that finance, which I think is very important for Rwanda and a lot of other developing countries. And so these 5 pioneer countries have been picked to pilot that process, to have early access to that funding. And I think Rwanda was particularly picked because we have a really strong relationship with Rwanda on the climate portfolio, and we know that Rwanda can use this funding in a very effective and good way. So the UK has committed £100 million to this effort. We'll also be looking for other donor countries to commit money to this fund, and so I look forward to seeing how Rwanda is going to use that partnership and that funding in the future.
Okay, so as we conclude this, what should people know, the common citizens get to know, especially now that the Queen's Baton is coming?
Well, I think they should know that this is a symbol of how well connected we are, that as the Commonwealth we really are a family of nations, and that Rwanda and the UK are 2 really important parts of that. So I hope that this baton really symbolises our unity, our cooperation and our friendship.
Omar Daair, the British High Commissioner to Rwanda, many thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.